All right.
I think we should get to Andrew.
Ooh, yeah. Let's talk to Andrew in Pennsylvania. We're getting a lot of Pennsylvania callers, aren't we?
Yeah, it's almost like they know where I'm from. But Andrew, we're going to bring you on. Please frame this in terms of a question. I do want to make sure that we're getting a dialogue going back and forth here. Andrew, can you hear us?
Yeah, I heard you loud and clear.
Beautiful.
That statement was just like what we came up with the call screener.
Perfect.
Well, what I wanted to talk about was the idea of moral structures, secular moral structures.
Okay.
That we see commonly.
Mm-hmm.
I know I call myself a humanist, and so you folks, and well, maybe to help guide this, how would you define that?
Humanism. Ooh. I'm kind of stretching for a definition. Give me a minute. V, do you have one off the top of your head?
I would say that humanism, in the way that I've heard it discussed by anybody who calls themselves a humanist, is prioritizing human well-being above other concerns around morality.
And reducing suffering.
Right. So the concept of looking at humanity as a whole and saying, what actions can I take or not take to reduce suffering and increase well-being for humans?
All right.
And then
go
ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that included in that, when it comes to increasing well-being, that often comes along with, equity, charity, fairness. It comes with, opportunity and with, just this entire suite of things that we grant when we're trying to increase that well-being. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, if I'm reading this right, and I think we're on the same page, we would say that three of us believe that if we all agree that human well-being or human happiness is like something we should care about, then there are certain actions that we objectively should do to further that along.
No. I think that valuing a thing and saying that I must do X, like example, I haven't gone out and done charity work in the last few months. But does that mean that I'm not a humanist? You know what I mean? Like holding a view versus an ought for action doesn't necessarily always equate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point to put out. I wasn't necessarily saying in terms of ought statements, but more in terms of what has moral value.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would even be safer to say that there are things we should not do as humanists, right? We should not violate other people's autonomy. We should not endorse, wide-scale harm of a population based on an attribute of that group, right? So there are definitely things that I think humanists could agree on in terms of action. I'm curious where this is going.
Yeah.
Well, what I was saying what I was priming this for is that, we're humanists, but I believe there's other secular moral structures that exist out there too.
Sure.
I don't think they're necessarily formalized.
Well,
per se.
Okay.
Well, here's one that I kind of feel is popular. It's a moral structure that's not based on necessarily human well-being, but based upon liberty, based upon having the ability to do something, and not necessarily the consideration of human well-being. It's not necessarily outside of that, but it kind of puts it on a higher level.
Yeah, I think that is one structure that does not necessarily have to do with a god. Another one is the rules of acquisition, right? That is a secular moral structure that has nothing to do with humanism and nothing to do with a god. It's just the way that you operate within the world outside of kind of a religious oversight.
And then you got veganism that takes those views of humanism and expands them to non-human creatures.
Yeah.
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 Well, I was just wanted to talk about some of those things.
Oh, okay.
Is there any other ones that you know about that that seem to kind of be floating around?
Dude, really pick your fan fiction. So if you want to look at Trek, you can look at the view of Klingons and how
he watches Voyager and Next Gen and starts calling it Trek. I have one. I'm sorry, continue.
No, I don't want I don't want to know.
No, it is a good world to kind of talk about this in, because the assumption is that Starfleet and the Federation is humanist, or whatever the equivalent would be, including aliens. Mm-hmm. But there are all of those competing worldviews. None of them, except maybe Bajorans, have a specific religious component to them. At least none of the major alien groups. But the concept is those constantly coming into conflict and talking it out and saying, okay, who has a better reason for holding the beliefs that they do? What are the consequences of holding your beliefs versus mine? And it's fascinating. And there are definitely secular people who are not humanists and humanists who are not secular people. Yeah. I'm curious, what's next? Where are we going?
Or was that it?
I think it's interesting that you brought up Star Trek, because it does kind of demonstrate how in that kind of world where we all have valid moral structures that differentiate from each other, how we can actually, in a dialogue, we can move forward and kind of come to a synthesis, a coming together on ideas and producing better ones after.
Yeah. And if you want to just explore other secular structures that could just be interesting, look up true neutral alignment in Dungeons and Dragons, because the most variety I've seen when it comes to various, wild moral structures have come from true neutral characters. And that can be a really fun rabbit hole to go down if you want to.
Okay.
Andrew, thank you for calling in. This was nice.
Yeah, it was cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay.
Interesting. That was a fascinating theory of conversation. I like that direction of things. And I saw a couple people in the chat, I'm not going to call you out, saying that humanism is a dedication to logic and rationality or evidence-based reasoning. And I'm like, no, it's not. If you are equating humanism with skepticism or atheism inherently, by definition, you're wrong.
Yeah, there are lots of religious humanists.
Yeah, absolutely. It has nothing to do with epistemology. It has everything to do with ethics, right? And you can have people who are both skeptics and humanists. Hi, we're right here. But you can also have people who are humanists who believe in a god. You can have people who are skeptics who are definitely not humanists.
And I mean,
yeah, the Aflac guy, the guy who sells Aflac now.
The duck?
David Silverman, the Aflac dude.
Oh, the Aflac guy.
Yeah. That's a good example of somebody who's an atheist but not a humanist.
Sure.
So yeah, they're all configurations of that.
We're ready for the comments. Just remember that V at what? Oh my gosh.
Dante just
donated,
stunned us
with the largest super chat that we've gotten on the show.
Oh my goodness.
Merry Christmas.
Dante, we will give you a massive shout
I
out.
don't know what to do.
But
I'm
throwing us off our game. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We should. I know that we put everything towards the show, but maybe we should do like a nice Christmas dinner. I like that.